Have you ever stopped to think that maybe what's holding you back isn't the world but your own mind? Most people chase magic formulas, millionaire habits, or shallow motivational quotes, but ignore the most powerful mental training in history, Stoicism. While the modern world teaches you to chase everything, the Stoics taught how to master what matters most: your mind, your emotions, and your ability to live with purpose. And what's wild? They practiced this silently, every single day. This video isn't another fluffy motivational talk. It's an invitation for you to awaken your inner power through a life philosophy tested by emperors, soldiers, slaves, and sages. You'll learn how to control anger, stay calm under pressure, stop caring about criticism, ignore negativity, and reach true success. Without luck, without applause, and without needing to please anyone. If you're tired of feeling emotionally unstable, distracted by everything, exploding for nothing, and living according to what others think, this video is for you. You're about to discover how to apply Stoicism in real life, and not just understand it, but live it. And the best part, in a simple, practical, and direct way, even if you've never read Marcus Aurelius or Seneca in your life. So hit play and walk with me on this journey of transformation. But before we dive in, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because here every day, you'll train your mind with Stoicism, self-discipline, and ancient wisdom. And if this content speaks to you, share it with someone who needs to strengthen their mind inside and out. In silence, even before sunrise, a Stoic was already fighting his first battle, not against the world, but against himself. It was in that moment between waking and acting that the true warrior revealed himself. The mind, that invisible and treacherous territory, was the first war zone. Marcus Aurelius said that the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life, and he wasn't joking. Before conquering the chaos outside, the Stoic had to tame the monsters living within. Fear, laziness, impulsiveness, anxiety. These were the real enemies, and they all lived at the same address: your mind. That's why Stoic philosophy starts with mastering the mind, because without that, any external victory becomes fragile. According to this ancient wisdom, success is built from the inside out. He who conquers himself needs to prove nothing to anyone. He who masters his thoughts masters his actions, and he who masters his actions masters his destiny. Marcus Aurelius would wake up and think, "Today will be difficult, but I am prepared." That's not shallow positive thinking. It's training the power of perception. Instead of falling into the drama of the day, the Stoic would armor himself with emotional control. He knew he couldn't control what the world would do, but he could choose how to respond. And that choice is what separates the mentally weak from the mentally strong. Want a practical example? When you wake up, before grabbing your phone or diving into autopilot, practice the Stoic pre-preparation. Stop for 2 minutes and imagine the challenges the day may bring. Then tell yourself, "I am greater than this." It's a simple way to activate your self-discipline, and remember that your mind can be your ally or your saboteur. Success doesn't start in the bank or at the office. It starts in the way you talk to yourself. And here's the point. If you don't train your mind daily, the world will train it for you with negativity, distractions, and comparisons. The Stoic way of life teaches that the world will always try to provoke you, but it's up to you to decide whether you'll bite the bait. Mental strength isn't built in comfort, but in the small silent choices repeated every day. It's like lifting weights. You only see results if you're consistent. And that's exactly why the Stoics didn't see philosophy as an abstract concept, but as daily mental training, as we'll see next. In the Stoic view, philosophy wasn't meant to decorate speeches. It was a tool for living better. There was no such thing as learn now, apply later. They applied as they learned. A Stoic's routine was like that of an athlete, warming up the mind, reviewing errors, analyzing behavior, and preparing emotionally for the day. Seneca didn't write letters for others. He wrote them to heal himself. Stoic philosophy was soul training, not just beautiful talk. And this training was constant. Marcus Aurelius, even as an emperor, wrote reflections every morning. Epictetus had his students repeat Stoic principles like mantras, so the values would sink deep. The idea was clear. Your thoughts must be sharpened daily, like a sword that rusts if forgotten. That's mental mastery. Learning how to stay calm under pressure isn't something you acquire during chaos. You build it beforehand with repetition and purpose. How can you apply this today? Get a simple notebook. Every night, write down 3 mistakes you made and what you could have done better. Not to feel guilty, but to train your awareness. In the morning, read a passage from a Stoic author, maybe a line from Marcus Aurelius or a letter from Seneca, and ask yourself, how can I use this today? This daily practice activates self-improvement and slowly strengthens your self-discipline. This training is like a mental shield. By writing your thoughts, you release anxiety. By reviewing your actions, you develop emotional control. By imagining tough situations ahead of time, you prepare not to break. That's more effective than any momentary motivation. It's a way of life, practiced day after day. Real-world resilience training. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to everything without thinking. The Stoic chooses the opposite. He acts with intention. He knows the mind is like a garden. If you don't plant wisdom, weeds grow. So each reading, each reflection, each note is like watering that internal root system. And the deeper the roots, the steadier you are in a storm. But none of this works unless you know how to separate what's within your control from what's not. And that's the exact insight we'll dive into next. Imagine someone wasting energy worrying about the weather, other people's opinions, or decisions that aren't theirs. Now imagine that same energy being directed only toward what they can truly change. That's what Stoic philosophy teaches. Focus only on what's within your control. The rest, let it go. Ancient wisdom already knew. Suffering is born from trying to control the uncontrollable. And that's why Stoics train their perception every single day. Epictetus summed it all up in one phrase. Some things are up to us, others are not. Sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. It changes how you respond to criticism, to problems, to life's unfairness. People who try to control everything get exhausted, frustrated, and overwhelmed. But those who focus on controlling their behavior, their words and their reactions find inner peace, even in outer chaos. Want to apply this now? Write down everything that's stressing you out. Then cross off what's not up to you, other people's moods, traffic, the past. Focus only on what you can influence, your attitude, your tone, your decisions. This simple practice improves emotional intelligence, reduces stress, and sharpens mental strength. Over time, you'll realize you don't need to control everything, just yourself. Mastering the mind doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means refusing to let the world dictate your internal state. Stoicism teaches that if something external is outside your control, the only wise response is acceptance and action based on what you can do. If someone insults you, for example, you don't control the insult, but you do control your response. And that's where your power lies. Knowing how to handle insults is more valuable than avoiding them. This is where resilience training truly begins. Knowing what to hold on to and what to let go is a form of self-care. It brings clarity, balance, and peace, while others drown in anger and anxiety trying to control the uncontrollable. Separating what's in your control is like clearing the battlefield before the fight. You focus on the right target and conserve your energy for what truly matters. And once you understand this, you'll start to see discomfort not as the enemy, but as a tool for strength. And that kind of intentional discomfort is exactly what we'll explore next. In Stoic philosophy, comfort isn't a reward, it's a trap. The Stoics knew that the more a person clings to comfort, the weaker they become when facing the unexpected. That's why they deliberately exposed themselves to discomfort, sleeping on the floor, taking cold baths, fasting for a full day. It might sound extreme today, but there was a purpose: to train resilience and build self-discipline. An uncomfortable body creates a prepared mind. Seneca, a wealthy man and philosopher, would spend days in simple clothes, eating stale bread, even though he had access to banquets. He did it to remind himself that happiness doesn't depend on luxury, it depends on inner freedom. It was mental strength training. When you choose discomfort, you take away its power over you. That's emotional control in action. Instead of hoping the world treats you gently, you prepare to face it as it is. You can apply this in simple ways. Go a week without sugar, take a cold shower in the morning, walk in silence without your phone for 30 minutes. These small acts awaken your awareness, trigger your self-discipline, and train your mental mastery. It's not about punishment, it's about empowerment. It's realizing that when discomfort is chosen, it becomes an ally. And living always in ease makes you fragile in the face of adversity. Those who get used to excess suffer in scarcity, but those who've trained in scarcity move lightly when everything is lacking. Stoic training doesn't wait for life to knock you down to teach you how to get up. It gets ahead of the blow. That's ancient wisdom functioning as a modern shield. Training through voluntary discomfort is like vaccinating your soul. You feel a bit of the pain now, so you don't collapse from it later. This practice also develops something rare today: gratitude. When you intentionally deprive yourself, you start valuing what you once took for granted. A hot shower becomes a blessing. A soft bed becomes a luxury. A simple meal becomes a feast. The Stoic understands that nothing is guaranteed, and for that reason, everything can become a moment of presence and appreciation. This keeps arrogance away and brings humility closer. And when this becomes routine, when discomfort becomes training instead of punishment, true discipline is born. And that silent, firm, and consistent power was exactly what the Stoics cultivated, as we'll explore next. Most people quit because they get bored with repetition, but the Stoics understood that excellence lives in repetition. While the world chases novelty, real growth happens when you do the simple things, every day, with consistency. Waking up early, training the body, quieting the mind, reviewing mistakes. Discipline, in the Stoic view, doesn't need motivation. It only needs clarity of purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts down daily, even as emperor. Seneca reviewed his conduct every night. Epictetus repeated the same principles to his students over and over again. It wasn't obsession, it was mental mastery. They knew the human brain learns through repetition. If you train anger daily, you'll get good at exploding. But if you train how to stay calm, you'll become unshakable even in the storm. Want a simple, powerful exercise? Pick one Stoic practice and repeat it for 21 days. Write down one line of wisdom, take a 15-minute silent walk, or name 3 things you're grateful for before bed. It might seem small, but mental strength is born from small daily actions. When you repeat, you engrave. When you engrave, you transform. And that transformation is what separates those who know the theory from those who live the philosophy. Repetition is also a way to resist the ego. The ego wants novelty, wants quick rewards, wants applause. But ancient wisdom teaches that true strength is formed in the silence of routine. A warrior doesn't train only when he's excited, he trains always. That consistency is what shapes character. Self-discipline is built on the days when you do what's right, even when you don't feel like it. This applies to everything: controlling anger, mastering the mind, dealing with insults, staying calm under pressure. The more you repeat, the easier it becomes. And when the action becomes natural, you no longer have to force it, it flows. Repetition becomes reflex. And at that point, the Stoic realizes it's not about intensity, it's about consistency. It's not about impressing, it's about sustaining. And that changes everything. But this process only truly works when you're not living for other people's eyes. Because if applause is your fuel, the first criticism will break you. And that leads us directly into the next principle. The Stoic isn't guided by the noise of the crowd, but by coherence with his own principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote deep reflections, not for an audience, but for himself. He knew that other people's opinions are unstable, fickle, and often full of projections. The Stoic trains the mind not to be lifted by praise nor crushed by judgment. He lives with integrity, not with the need for validation. Epictetus taught that if you depend on others' approval to feel good, you're already their slave. This goes for both the fear of criticism and the obsession with likes and applause. The constant pursuit of recognition is poison disguised as motivation. Stoic philosophy offers an antidote. Live according to your values, not according to others' expectations. That's real freedom. Want a practical example? If someone praises your patience, keep being patient even when no one's watching. If they criticize you for not reacting to provocations, keep your calm, because virtue's value lies in consistency, not approval. That's how you stay calm under pressure. You don't react to impress, you act to stay whole. That's emotional control in its purest form. This mindset also protects you from ego. The ego loves a stage. But ancient wisdom reminds us, true growth happens far from applause. The Stoic seeks harmony between what he thinks, says, and does, even if no one's watching. He knows that others' judgments say more about them than about him, so he moves with purpose, like a silent river that never stops flowing. The key here is understanding that both praise and criticism are just noise. If you let one inflate you, the other will destroy you. Resilience training requires you to mute that noise and listen only to your own conscience. That's how you develop mental strength, inner peace, and self-discipline. That silence is where real perception and self-improvement begin. And with that clarity in place, you begin to act with strategy, emotionally prepared even for the worst-case scenario. And that kind of preparation is exactly what we'll talk about next. Most people fear the worst. Stoics, on the other hand, train their minds to expect the worst and still act with excellence. This technique was called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. Epictetus taught that by imagining everything that could go wrong, you strengthen yourself emotionally. It's not pessimism, it's preparation. It's a form of stress management that puts you ahead, even in uncertainty. Imagine someone heading into an important meeting, already visualizing a harsh boss, a failed plan, unexpected setbacks. By rehearsing it mentally, they arrive emotionally armored. If it happens, they're not surprised. If it doesn't, they're grateful. That's Stoicism in action. It removes the shock, reduces anxiety, and sharpens emotional control. It's like scouting the battlefield before the war. You can apply this to daily situations. Going on a date? Visualize awkward silences, rejection, discomfort. Presenting a project? Imagine tech failures, tough questions, an uninterested audience. Then breathe deeply and prepare to respond calmly. This anticipation gives you power. It's not suffering in advance, it's mastering your mind so fear doesn't paralyze you. Negative visualization also teaches gratitude. When you imagine loss and realize you still have what you feared losing, appreciation increases. It flips the game. By picturing what could end, you learn to love what's here. Those who expect everything end up disappointed. Those who expect nothing are pleasantly surprised. And those who prepare for the worst act with mental strength in whatever comes. This practice also boosts self-discipline. When you imagine discomfort before it hits, its real impact shrinks. It's like building an emotional cushion against life's punches. It improves resilience training, sharpens mental control, and allows you to move through chaos with courage. The Stoic isn't cold, he's prepared. And that preparation is what sets him apart. And it's with that clarity that life is unpredictable, fragile, and fleeting that the Stoics look toward their final and deepest principle, the awareness of death. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. This wasn't a dark phrase for the Stoics, but a source of clarity. They didn't speak of death to scare, but to awaken, because those who live as if they're eternal postpone everything, dreams, forgiveness, decisions. But those who understand that time is short live with purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you think, say, and do." Stoic philosophy invites you to live each day as if it were your soul's final training session. The awareness of death isn't depressing, it's liberating. It cuts away excess, dissolves the ego, and reveals what truly matters. When you accept that tomorrow isn't guaranteed, you stop wasting time on what doesn't build. Pointless arguments, empty worries, the endless pursuit of approval. That insight gives you inner peace and pushes you to act not with anxiety but with intention. It's the beginning of real self-improvement. Seneca said that time isn't short, it's poorly used. Most people live as if they have infinite life credits, sleeping and waking every day as if it's guaranteed. Memento mori is a reminder that every moment is golden, that hugging today might be the last chance, that apologizing now could prevent eternal regret. That's why Stoics were so present. They knew life wouldn't warn them before ending. You can start this practice now. Place a small phrase on your mirror. What if today were the last day? That changes how you speak to those you love, the energy you put into your goals, even your patience with frustration. Knowing time is passing isn't a reason to panic. It's a reason to focus. The Stoic way of life calls you to act with urgency but with wisdom, and that makes all the difference. This principle also strengthens self-discipline. When you remember death, superficial desires lose power. What once triggered rage now feels like a waste of life. What once seemed huge now becomes detail. The Stoic acts with courage because postponing becomes dangerous. Fear of failure becomes smaller than regret for not having tried. That's mental mastery, true strength, and Stoic wisdom at its highest level. And when you combine all these principles, from the battlefield within to the awareness of death, you begin to understand how the Stoics trained the mind for success. But before we connect all the dots, let's open this journey with an introduction. Now that you've seen how the Stoics trained their minds for success, let me ask you something. Will you keep living on autopilot, or will you take control of your own life? Will you wait for chaos to catch you off guard, or will you start strengthening your mind right now? The truth is, everything you need to win is already inside you, but it takes training, application, and repetition. And Stoic philosophy is the most powerful tool to get there. Which of these practices hit home for you today? Learning to separate what's in your control, embracing discomfort, ignoring judgment. Drop a comment below and tell me which Stoic principle you're going to apply starting today. Because watching alone won't transform you, acting on it will. And if you made it this far, you've already taken the first step. Now all that's left is to keep going, with clarity, with courage, with presence. Remember, real success isn't built on luck. It's built on self-discipline, on repeating what works, on having the courage to do what few are willing to do. Silence the external noise, tame the ego, and live with wisdom. You don't have to wait for a crisis to change. You can start now with small actions every single day. And if you ever lose focus, come back to this video and reset your mindset. If this content helped you grow, hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to awaken their inner strength. And of course, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can keep training your mind with Stoicism, emotional control, and ancient wisdom every day. Your transformation begins the moment you decide not to be ruled by impulses anymore, and you've already made that decision. Now, keep going.